everybody, this is Rod Meldrum, the Book of Mormon Evidence Guy, and we're here at the 35th International Book of Mormon Evidence Conference and the Firm Foundation Expo. And I have with me a gentleman that I have not really had much opportunity to rub shoulders with yet.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to it. But this is make sure you get your name right. So David Larkins.
Yes.
And you're from Georgia.
I am. Yep.
And you came all the way out here to Utah to do some presentations. And
I did.
But so Brill Hernandez, our videographer, he was having a conversation with you yesterday apparently, and
right.
You were telling a little bit about your story. He was pretty intrigued.
Yeah. So in 1998, I got into law enforcement. One of those kind of things. I wanted to be a cop when I was a kid, and but early in my career, I was in 2 shootouts, my 3rd year, my 8th year, into a 22-year-long career.
Yeah.
And those shootouts left me with undiagnosed PTSD. That led to some mental health issues that I didn't realize I had. I knew something in me had changed when these happened. It's not normal to have no fear of anything. I didn't know what the symptoms were. And really back then, there wasn't much known about it. But what happened was with the PTSD, I developed a lot of anxiety. I had these nightly nightmares, and it led me to start behaving in a way and doing things which took me away from the church.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Some years later, a senior missionary on his last Sunday at church, and I happened to be there that Sunday. The roof didn't cave in or anything. I was at church anyway. And as I was trying to sneak out the back at the end of the service, he made a beeline and grabbed me by the arm and said, David, I have to tell you something before I go home tomorrow. I have to tell you that I don't know what's going on in your life, but whatever it is, you need to put your life in order so the Lord can use you the way he intends to. And I knew he was right. The Spirit hit.
Wow.
And so...
That's pretty bold.
Yes, he was a bold man. And so we're actually Hamblins, and he was a Lee, and so there's always this friendly kind of thing back and forth between he and my dad and all. But he was very bold. So that rattled around in my head for a little while, and I finally made the decision to get back on the covenant path and to try to figure out what's going on with me and to get my head right. So I found out that I had PTSD. I got diagnosed, got some therapy, and began striving. And in the process of that, I knew I needed to develop the habit of studying Scripture. And that had always been a struggle for me.
Yeah.
So I prayed one night and said, Lord, if you'll please teach me how to develop this habit. And the thought that came to my mind was, just simply read the stories that you like. Well, great. Well, I liked David and Goliath, and I liked the flood account, and different things. So I just started reading those over and over. And what I discovered was, as I read them repeatedly, I started picking out little details in Scripture, and I began using the investigative skills I had developed as an investigator to study the Scriptures. And so I started applying these different skills, and things just started coming out that I had never seen before, and details. And so I was amazed at how that just opened up to me. So anyway, as I began to study, I wrote a couple of papers, and you're actually part of my my comeback story.
How was that?
So I had a testimony, but during the time that I was away from the church, this skeptical side of me had started to develop. And so again, I had prayed and asked our Father in heaven if he would please provide me with some substance to strengthen my testimony. Not that I didn't believe. I believed. I didn't want a sign. I just wanted some supportive structure.
Some evidence, yeah.
And one of those things that happened where a video pops through my YouTube feed of this guy named Rod Meldrum talking about DNA evidence. and I was just amazed. I learned all about haplogroups and all kinds of things from you. And it was one of those things that helped strengthen my testimony.
This is clear out in Georgia.
All the way in Georgia.
Yeah, well, when
Yeah.
I first began doing this, it was I never really had the idea that this would be going so far
Right.
and so wide, and the information that would touch so many people's lives, and I'm
Yes.
humbled by that, actually.
Well, you really touched me. And so I started visiting your website and reading some of the articles. And then I noticed, like, okay, well, this is great. There's a little piece missing here. So I sent an email and sent it to the website. And then Ryan writes back to me. I was shocked. He said, this is great. We've published this along with the article. It's added at the end. And so,
Yeah,
and then I started making a few little videos here and there.
nice.
Just for myself. I don't have a big YouTube channel at all. I am now actually trying to grow it. I just started.
Okay.
But
the channel, by the way, so
the channel. Oh, it is. It's Feasting on the Word
feasting on the Word.
with
Okay.
D.G. Hamblin, and I use Hamblin because I am Jacob Hamblin's great grandson. My father was born a Hamblin. His stepfather adopted him, so we're Larkins now, but
Okay,
we're
okay.
Hamblins.
Okay.
And I use that to separate that part of me from my church callings and things that all people thinking I'm taking advantage of my callings at church. Anyway, so I made a video about Noah's Ark and the flood account and information that I was able to elicit from the Bible and the Book of Mormon, looking at the Jaredite barges.
Yeah.
And that got Ryan's attention. He saw that video and then reached out to me and asked me if I would come and present. So,
well, Ryan, by the way, is our events manager. He is amazing. He ran huge events. I mean, he's done events for one of the most well-known people he did events for was Donald Trump, actually.
oh wow.
And Zig Ziglar and a bunch of other
Okay.
people who are kind of self-help gurus and so forth. And he ran these huge, I mean, with 50,000 people kind of thing. But he said he's told me numerous times that he said that there's a lot of what might you say not really being 100% true to what they're saying, kind of thing, a little bit of hypocrisy kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
And he says he loves doing this because of the people that we have coming and amazing speakers like yourself and
Thank you.
and relationships that we've been able to develop over the years. So, well, I'm glad to have you on the team.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm humbled by being asked to come. I'm glad to come. And Ryan, I think he's a wonderful. He's helped me so much, and he and I have.
He's been a godsend. He really has been.
Yeah.
So now you spoke yesterday, I think, if I
did.
remember correctly. So tell us what you were speaking about yesterday.
So yesterday I talked about the 5 temple covenants as found in allegory form in First Nephi. Now, this is something that I actually did not discover with any of my own skill. I was in the temple one day doing a session, but I had been studying in First Nephi, and all of a sudden I'm given this kind of a flash of a vision that
good place to get visions, man.
Right? I love studying the scriptures while I'm in the temple.
Yeah.
And so I got all excited, and I went home as soon as the session was over and pull out my scriptures, and there they all are in order, in allegorical form.
Wow.
Starting with, I will go and do what the Lord has commanded. And Nephi is leading the example in each one of those. It goes along really well with, if you've read In the Language of Adam by Dave Butler, he talks about their journey through the wilderness as kind of
a metaphor.
A metaphor of the journey through Moses' tabernacle. And this really fits along well with his description of that because they're making these covenants as they go along.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so there's 5.
There are 5.
Yeah.
And so they are obedience. Just to give you just a quick rundown, that's them when they go to get the brass plates, they're being obedient. There's actually a whole other thing on that I do because there's a legal defense for Nephi in killing Laban.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then there's the law of sacrifice. When they go to get Ishmael's family and they're coming back, there's this scene where Laman and Laban become angry and they tie up Nephi. The bonds are loosed. They're going to come again, and then they're convinced, no, don't do it. And they humble themselves. They fall at Nephi's feet. They ask for his forgiveness. He forgives them, and then he tells them, now, you need to go and pray and ask the Lord for forgiveness. So they have this broken heart and a contrite spirit. And then when they get back, it's a little confusing in the language, but from one to the one verse to the next, it talks about they sacrificed and made burnt offerings.
Yeah.
And I believe that is referring back to Laman and Lemuel. So that's kind of part of it.
Oh.
Then we have the law of the gospel, and that is the visions of Lehi and Nephi of the tree of life. So that's a big section to try to explain. But to me, the key point in that is at the end when Nephi is explaining to his brothers what it means. He's encouraging them to live the commandments and to follow the gospel of Jesus Christ. And then
And listen to Dad.
Right, that's it.
Both dads.
Yes, both of them. And then there's this little short mention, just one verse of the sons of Nephi and Zoram marrying the Ishmaelite daughters.
Yeah.
So we have this example of the law of chastity. And who's the first one that says that got married? Nephi's the first. He's setting the example again.
Yeah.
And then as they travel through the wilderness, you know the story about Nephi's broken bow. And now they don't have any food. And Nephi himself goes, makes a bow, makes an arrow, takes a sling and stones, and he by himself goes hunting and comes back with food for everybody. So we have the law of consecration there, where he is using his time and his talents and his ability to provide for everyone.
Wow. That is fantastic. So, so you just got in about 3 or 4 minutes there. What was an hour-long presentation?
Yes, that's right.
So yeah, if you want to if you want to see the entire presentation from yesterday, go to our streaming website.
Yes.
At bookofmormonevidence.org, and you
Yes.
can watch the entire thing.
And as part of that presentation, I also mentioned a little bit of some other like Easter egg stuff in there that I didn't just mention. So you really want to catch those too. It's interesting.
Yeah. But make sure you go there and check it out.
Yes.
But now today you're going to be talking about secret combinations.
Right.
And specifically relating to Cain, and also
from the mark of Cain to the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
Secret combinations have existed, of course,
beginning
everywhere. Beginning with Cain, and we probably could take that all the way back to the pre-existence.
Yeah.
With Lucifer rebelling and forming a secret combination to try to overthrow God.
Yeah.
And so secret combinations are Satan's organization on earth. And so I'll walk you through kind of building at first a foundation for what they are and the signs we have for them, how we can recognize secret combinations. Giving a few examples in the Book of Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
So this really should be about a 2-hour presentation. I'm trying to get it all down to less than an hour.
Well, and I don't know.
Yeah.
We may have to have you come on a longer podcast or something.
Okay, we could do that too.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I try to give you some principles where you can recognize the secret combinations as they were in the Old Testament, the secret combination formed when Christ was killed, and how they are manifest today, including the mark of the beast, which my hypothesis, my belief is that the mark of the beast is, well, it says you take it in your forehead or in your hand, and that the beast makes everybody take it.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the forehead is where you develop your thoughts, your ideology.
Yes. Yeah.
And your hands are symbolic of your actions. Yes. So you either have to believe it, the ideology of the beast, or you have to go along if you don't believe.
Yeah. And
so we can see what happens today to those who don't believe or go along with some of the Marxist and communist ideals, which Ezra Taft Benson identified as being the secret combinations and the Gadiantons, and it's alive and well today. And how do we make people take these ideologies through our education system, which has been subverted by Marxism? A guy named, his name just went out of my head. He was a KGB defector back in the
Well,
Yuri Bezmenov.
even the Dewey Decimal System, and
Yes.
Dewey, he was one of the early people.
Yes.
I remember learning about him, because with the old
Right.
library card system and so forth,
Right.
and whatever that supposedly he set up. So
And when was
Yeah.
Joseph Smith killed? 1844.
Yeah.
And when was
Yeah.
the Communist Manifesto published? Just a couple of years
Yeah.
later,
Yeah.
right about the same time.
Where great good happens, great evil responds, and vice versa. I think where great evil happens, greater good
Right.
also responds.
Yes.
It's kind of interesting how that actually plays out throughout all of scriptural history.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So you're going to talk about some of those things today.
I will.
What time?
Yes. At 11:20, 25. I'll be there early, so I'm not going to miss it.
We don't want you to miss it. Yeah,
Right. Yes.
Well, now, you said something also about the Ark.
Right. So
Before, I don't remember what it was, but it had something to do with the submersibles, if you will, of the
Right.
Jaredites,
yes.
the submarines.
Right. So as I was reading about the Ark one day, and again, I'm using my investigative skills. By this time, I've kind of developed how to use these in studying Scripture.
Uh-huh.
Well, I notice actually in our Scriptures at the bottom where the Lord tells Noah to put a window in the Ark.
Yeah.
The word for window there is sohar, which many rabbis and Hebrew scholars believe was a precious stone which shone in the dark. And when you look up sohar in Strong's Concordance, you find out it's only translated window that one time. Every other incident is
Sacred stone, or
it's translated as a like daylight or sunlight. So that led me really to kind of dig in the relationship between the Ark and the Jaredite barges, because the Lord is the architect of both of those. We already have one similarity, so we can infer that there were some others. One of the questions I had with the Ark was, how did they have water and the fresh air and things for all these animals? Well, assuming that the Ark is built the same way.
also assuming the animals are living, and so they're
Right.
eating and
Other stuff.
other things, which after a while in an enclosed space would be pretty tough.
Yes. So if you have this hole in the bottom of the Ark with sides built up so that it comes up above the water line,
Yeah.
then you have a hole in the top. When the hole in the top is unstopped, as water rises and falls within that well, it pumps fresh air in and out the Ark.
Yes. Yeah.
And that also gives you an opportunity to access water. You could fish. You can get rid of waste. You can clean the boat. And with the Ark being on the earth with all this fresh water coming out of the ground and all this rain, it's very likely that there would have been what's called a halocline form.
Right.
So they would have had access to fresh water.
And the fresh water don't mix.
They don't mix.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that happens at the deltas of almost every river system.
That's right.
Yeah.
And also in the far extremes near the poles where it's so cold, the water can't mix, and these develop, and that's where sea ice is developed from the fresh water in the halocline.
Yeah.
So perhaps the Jaredite boats went far north or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so there's also this one point in the flood story where Noah finally removes the covering of the Ark, and it says, "Behold, the land was dry." And it's kind of struck me, oh my goodness, Noah really had no idea what's going on outside the boat. Why would he not have known that the water was actually gone? He sends these birds out before.
Yeah.
Well, he's trying to figure out what's going on. And it says he can see the tops of the mountains, but it never says he can see anything else.
Yeah.
And as I was contemplated on this, I thought, I wonder if somewhere near Ararat, if there happens to be a high altitude freshwater lake. And it just so happens that only a few miles from Ararat, in the Aral Mountains, which would be the mountains of Ararat,
Yeah.
there's a lake at about 7,000 feet called Balik Golu. And it's a freshwater
What
lake.
was it?
Balik Golu is the name in the local language there. I think it's Turkish. But it means fish lake. We happen to have a fish lake in Utah here,
Yeah, we do.
right?
Not
At
very
about
far,
this,
not very far from our place.
right?
South of there, yeah.
And it happens to be about the same altitude, which is interesting.
Oh, there.
But at this lake in the Aral Mountains, the water there is so fresh that even today you could drink from it.
Yeah.
So if it came to rest in this lake, this is my hypothesis, then they would have still been floating in water. Noah would be going, what is going on? But there's water here. We can see fish. We can clean the boat.
Plus the boat might rock a little bit here and there
Little-
with winds
yeah.
and so forth. Yeah.
And it never made sense to me that this ark would have come to rest on the side of a mountain, and then they'd have been there for months trying to navigate around the inside of the boat. It would have been very difficult. So I believe that it came to rest in a place like this high altitude freshwater lake. They would have had fish to eat, fresh water to drink. They keep the boat clean. And Noah would have been going, what is going on? He can see out the hole in the top and see the tops of the mountains, but he can't see anything else, you know.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is fascinating because if you go to the Ark Encounter,
Yes.
it is really fascinating because they have a kind of an interesting sort of a system of, you know, a little bit like you're describing
Right.
with the Ark, basically, with how the water would go up and down and so forth
Okay.
inside of the Ark. It depended on different things and help move the water around so that animals could get things to drink and so forth. But anyway, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not the same as the Jaredite thing because the Ark wasn't designed to go underground
Right.
or under the water. I mean, but yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating
Very.
stuff. So when do you talk about that one? Was that yesterday? Or did that come
I-
out today?
I actually spoke about that
Okay.
6 months ago
Okay.
at Eagle Mountain. We were there.
Okay.
And so that one is on the website, right?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I think I have a short video on that, but it's not nearly as long
What's
as
the name of that one so people can find it on a streaming website?
that was. Oh my goodness. Trying to really stretch my memory
Does it
here.
mention,
It mentions the Ark. It is. I think it's viewing Noah's Ark through a Book of Mormon lens or something along those lines.
Okay.
That might mention the barges in the title as well.
All right. Well, fantastic. Well, listen, it's been great to have a chance to chat with you, David. I appreciate that.
Likewise.
And so I guess there's going to be at least 3
Yes.
presentations that are on the streaming website here, and by the time this comes out.
Right. Yes.
So we'll
Thank
look
you.
forward to checking those out. And if you'd like to do that, go to bookofmormonevidence.org,
Yes.
and you can check it out. Also, while you're on the YouTube channel here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button here,
Please.
and we'll do that. And we appreciate your taking the time to come out here all the way from Georgia
Yes.
on your own dime
That's right.
and do this and share this information you've been able to do. And thank you also for your testimony. You know,
Thank you.
You're amazing.
I have a very strong testimony of the gospel of Jesus Christ and of the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon. And like I said before, you've been a part of strengthening my testimony. So thank you. The least I can do to repay that is to come here.
Well, thank you. We appreciate
welcome.
your coming and sharing this information. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
All right.